Smoother
yeah,
and
yeah, same. Well, I welcome John Blue to an artist talk.
Hi.
Just to introduce you, even though we've done a little introduction to the introduction. For how long have you been in Berlin, come again?
4 years.
4 years. And you came directly from the States?
Yeah, I was in New York for about 5 or 6 years before I moved here.
So you're a musician,
Mm-hmm.
and you went to a school, or
No,
how did you teach it? You taught yourself?
Yeah, I started playing music when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I was going to university at the time, and I had to pay for it myself, and I was seeing how much money I was spending, and the only thing I was really interested in that I was good at was learning how to play the guitar. And so I took some time off and traveled through Europe, actually. And yeah, I kind of figured out then that that would be the thing that I would be able to spend the most energy and time on.
Yeah.
And, yeah, most successfully. I was grading myself.
When do you remember your first gig?
My first gig.
What were you playing at the time? What did you start with?
I was playing the acoustic guitar.
Acoustic guitar.
And
With voice? Did you ever sing?
I do sing a bit, but in the beginning, not so much. And in performances, I don't really use a lot of voice. I like to use more samples and things like that. But yeah, I did sing, but not in this first gig. This first gig was with 2 friends. I was a bicycle messenger, and I met them, and they both played music. They were much older than I was. They were like 30. And we played in this little coffee shop, and we wound up playing on this first Thursday art gallery thing in Portland, Oregon, before the Pearl District became the Pearl District, and they really developed. They were just getting.
Why is it called Pearl District?
I have no idea. It happened after I
Is it
left.
with Chinese? No.
No, Chinatown in Portland is like 1 block large.
But they're there.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There's definitely a Chinese community there, but no Chinatown like in bigger cities.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we played at this coffee shop, and we just improvised. I only knew a few chords, and my friend Dan was banging away on the bongos.
This was what, like jazz or experimental?
It was all, I mean, at that point, I don't think I figured that experimental music was performative. You know, that's like a learning process for me in a lot of ways. So it was chords and jams and grooves, and I mean, I'd only been playing for a couple months at the time, but I felt that I wanted to get out. Then I moved away from Portland, and then I discovered people going to a university getting their master's degree in weird music, which was what I was doing, and I thought that was just me messing around, trying to learn how to play my stuff, but these people were getting their master's degrees in it, and that's how I got into doing performative experimental music.
Okay. And how long did you do that for?
I'm still doing it, so it's like 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, we're going to do some later.
That's nice, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What are your influences?
Influences like in how I play music, or why I make
I don't know,
music?
but why you started, maybe someone who was sort of inspiring you. Is there someone?
I mean, I can take it literally and say the reason why I started playing music was because a younger brother of mine was playing the guitar, and like I told you yesterday, we have a really large family, so we didn't get much kind of encouragement to find things that you're interested in, and if we were interested in something, we never had enough money to get the stuff to do it with. So having a musical instrument when I was growing up was like
luxury.
We had a piano, but that's a piece of furniture, you know, from the 1950s that maybe some people learn how to play, but I think I tried to learn how to play the piano for a while, but it didn't hold on. So my younger brother was getting really into the guitar, and I was like, that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I remember wanting to play the drums when I was like 5 years old after my father died. We took a trip to the East Coast, and I saw a drum set underneath a sheet, and I was fascinated with it. The pedal was sitting there, and all I could do was like, and I was a really hyper kid, so of course I'm like banging away at this pedal. I think somebody probably made me stop. But yeah, that was the reason why I started. I was kind of like, well, why am I not doing this thing that I've always wanted to do, and I'm not sure what else
Yeah.
I'm really interested in, so I picked that up. And
Your contact to music seems to be quite physical, instinctive. Is
Mhm.
that real?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I taught myself almost all my instruments, and it's just through a process of having the instrument around me and having enough time and energy to keep on banging away at it, you know, and record it, make it right, do it over again.
So is there an artist that's influenced you or not? Come back to my question.
An artist that's influenced me. I mean, I think eras of artists have influenced me. I mean, I think the time in jazz, like the Coltrane Quartet era, '61 to, you know, through the more experimental stuff, has been a really big influence. I think that I've been encouraged by a lot of stuff that I've heard rather than influenced by it, because I think I was so far into just learning my instruments over time that when I got a new artist in my hands or whatever, I've realized that I was like way too late, and I was so deep into it, but it just encouraged me to keep on moving forward.
All right.
Recording and playing and giving me
In terms of
ideas.
quality of how you played, you mean it encouraged you to practice more, hearing sounds from others?
To practice more and to focus more on composing things with stuff that you're not programmed to think is right.
Do you still play things that you composed at the beginning, or you've really changed your style over the years?
I think I'm always trying to learn my instruments and be able to play them in a traditional way in order to make sense of, to draw a thread that a person who's not educated in experimental music or something that can grab onto, and you know, you get a hook or something that makes sense to a listener who maybe doesn't like that kind of music, and it opens their ears to hearing something else.
Yeah.
But the foundation of a lot of it is through experimentation and looping and sampling and turning things upside down and hearing them in a new way. I think I go back and forth between which I think about more when I'm starting to write a piece. You know, sometimes it'll be a melody, or sometimes it'll be just some sound, like sitting on a synthesizer backwards and hearing, I'm like, that is the sound that I need to have in a piece of music. You know?
Yeah. Do you actually produce electronic music as well?
No, I wouldn't call it electronic music. What I produce is the soundtracks for film and theater. It has electronic elements to it, but I mean, when you say electronic music, it typically means some kind of dance music or a minimal beat-based thing. And I normally start with real instruments and sample those, and then twist them through a recording process or something like that, and then it becomes a kind of electronic music, but I wouldn't call it electronic.
And can you talk about a few projects maybe that you really liked with film, maybe?
The first film I made in San Francisco with my brother Tim and another guy, Paul Woolley, who I was living with at the time in the Lower Haight. We went to Mexico, and I don't think I even had a computer yet. I bought a DAT player, which was obscenely expensive for the time. It's worth about like $100 now. And we went and recorded field sounds from our trip through Mexico, and during the process of producing the soundtrack, I took those recordings and really manipulated them in whatever way my mind could think, like stretching the sound out for as long as you possibly could, so all you're hearing is like the space in between the digits, as it were. And yeah, that soundtrack was really a huge learning experience for me. I think the music was really good.
Is it possible to find that music, to listen to it somewhere?
Yeah, I could have brought it on my iPod, but it's not I don't have it on the web. I don't think the film has really been...
It's not on a SoundCloud or anything either?
No, the film it took a really long time to make, and it saw a few film festivals.
How long, process?
7, 8, 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was about that. We started in '97 and I moved to New York in 2002, and we finished it then in the next few years.
Yeah.
So that's one film. I've done some, documentaries for public broadcasting and things like that. But that film in particular really was so much about learning how to make what I want to make, and it really pushed me to do something very completely theater projects, they always wind up being more normal.
But you play live in a theatre every night. It's slightly different. For a film you would record, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And then you're not in front of a public, an audience. It's a bit different. If you're playing live, when you do theatre, you actually make a soundtrack for the theatre, or you play live?
Sometimes we've played live.
Okay, it's different then.
Yeah, sometimes we're part of the actors, and
Yeah.
we're on stage, and the band setup is part of the scene. And then when we do silent films, that's what's totally different. Is you've got your back to the audience, and you're sitting.
Oh yeah, that's very nice. Where do you do that?
In the Sony Center at the Filmhouse Arsenal.
Oh, that's
mostly.
cool.
We've done a few things that are recently really exciting. My brother and I did a soundtrack for a film work by Wilhelm Heim.
You work a lot with your brother.
Oh yeah, we've been.
That's very nice.
We've been doing this together for the whole time that we've both been doing it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Is that